morning, everybody. You have joined us right as we're rolling out of Haste. And the reason we've put you on so bright and early with us is because we are on the search for the cheetah brothers who we found last drive. But since we've seen them, they actually haven't eaten yet. So they were hungry when we saw them. They're going to be even more hungry. There's some impalas with lambs that are moving through here. Good to note. We won't get them on camera, but good to note. So we are going to work around their usual haunts, where they were and where they usually go from where they were. And so we are going to spend a little bit of time on the fence. Won't be too much, but they tend to spend a lot of time around this area. And this is the route that Gareth and I walk when we go for morning walks. So we know that they're often in this area because we've walked into them a few times. Which is really not a problem with cheetah. Cheetah are respectful of humans on foot. It's not quite like encountering a lion or a leopard or an elephant or sometimes a rhino or a buffalo. Cheetah are pretty passive. So we're just going to spend a little bit of time here, check out if we can see them, and then we're going to, if we can't, we'll go do something else. But the reason I want to try really hard to find them this morning is because of the potential that they would have made a kill. It would be lovely to see that they're doing better, that they've got some food, and maybe we'll get lucky enough to find them eating. I'm not seeing any tracks or any indication that they've been here. But I'm sure that this is the direction they probably moved, even if not to this point. This is the southwestern corner of Rietspruit, and we get pretty well accustomed to the movements of the animals that we see frequently. So part of tracking and knowing your environment, in an open system or a closed system, it's much the same. But part of knowing your environment and becoming familiar with your environment is an understanding of the movement, the general movement pattern of the animals, particularly the predators. Actually trickier with cheetah in an open system, because although the male coalitions are territorial, they can be quite transient, especially the females who aren't territorial. They'll move wherever there's no threat and wherever there's food and nice places to raise your offspring. Generally, we anticipate that being open areas, big grasslands, but that's not always the case. In fact, cheetahs have a far more diverse habitat than has been portrayed in the media. This woodland savanna is a fantastic stronghold for cheetah. South Africa has a surplus of cheetah, which is incredible because the rest of the world has a dwindling cheetah population. And most of South Africa is a cross between woodland and grassland savanna. Well, most of wild spaces within South Africa. Of course, within the Eastern Cape, we have different biomes. I spy a rhino. I'm just in my rhino swing. I've been seeing a lot of rhino lately. Just on the other side of this dip, there's a beautiful rhino. It looks like a rhino bull, but I can't tell from here just yet. So we'll see. I wonder if it's number 3. This is his territory. Now we're going to have rhino booty for a little while because maybe he'll feed and give us a bit of space to come and see him. I think it is him. Ringo. Beautiful. He's finding all the luscious green grass. Oh, the sun isn't even, no, it has risen, but not even shining on him yet. Isn't this a beautiful way to start the day? It's amazing to think, I mean, this is a very big animal. But he's so comfortable with us. Oh, sorry, termites. I don't know if you saw that. But he just knocked over the newest developments of this termite mound. There was a sort of chimney that it looks like the termites have been building, and he rubbed up against it, probably wondering whether or not it was going to be a rubbing post so that he could scratch his arms. But it wasn't a rubbing post, and he just demolished the termite mound. It's not uncommon to see territorial animals use the fence. They like a boundary, so even in open systems, often big roads and rivers form the territorial boundaries for animals. They choose it that way. That is the outermost edge where they'll scent mark to incorporate everything between it. And it's just because it's a large feature, it's straight, it makes sense. And they're not, animals are not perfect about their boundaries. It's not like they've always got a bit of a hazy edge that will ebb and flow within and out of their territory. Just going to catch up with them and then I'll explain. But in a closed system, we expect the territorial animals to use the fences. Not getting anything. Use the fences because it's a boundary. It's a really nice, already defined space. So if he sorry, I've not got a lot to work with here, Andrew. If he uses the fence on both sides, he secures an entire corner of the reserve where no intruding male can push in on two edges of his territory. So it definitely makes sense that they use the fences. We see the cheetahs do it too, and our male lions. He's perfectly designed for bulk grazing, keeping the grass cropped short with a lip that runs parallel to the ground. So watch him. And he's not biting the grass, he's plucking it. Rhinos actually have very calloused lips, very muscular and very calloused. And that's because their teeth are at the back of their jaw, or further back, and they're not biting off the grass. They're plucking off the grass. Let me see if I can get a bit closer. Oh, maybe I miss. You can see there he's scent marking. Definitely on a territorial patrol. But of course, making the most of the grazing opportunity as well. So what I was saying, in big areas where rhinos have been persecuted because there's such a demand on the illegal trade for their horns, which have apparently got cultural medicinal associations, even though all have been disproved. Just want to make that clear, that the remedies that the rhino horn has been used for are very much, they don't have any validity. They have done searches and researched whether or not there is anything to be said for whether rhino horn can cure cancer or can give you prosperity or is a good aphrodisiac, and all of the studies have come up empty, which isn't very surprising because you should have a similar effect if you bite your fingernails. But what I was saying is, in areas where they've lost large amounts of their rhino populations, we're actually finding that those reserves are more susceptible to fire. Because they are a bulk grazer, rhinos keep the moribund material from ever forming. Now, moribund material is grass on the ground that dries over a couple of seasons, and then no grass can grow up underneath it, and it's so dead and drained of nutrients that no animals can palate it. They cannot eat it, so it never goes anywhere. And then if a wildfire gets into that area, it's perfect kindling. So the wildfire just runs through these areas with a lot of moribund material. And the moribund material is kept under control because it stopped. It doesn't form at the same rate in areas where there are bulk grazers. It just shows how interconnected everything is, how important it is to keep every single species healthy, in healthy population numbers, so that the balance is maintained. The very loud rattling testicular, making sure Andrew and I are awake. It is very early in the morning. But it's nice to see Ringo. Spraying again. That was a little bit of a lazy scent mark. He didn't really stiffen his legs and break ground and prepare the earth for his scent to penetrate. He just kind of sprayed. I'm going to get a little further or a little closer. I've actually had it a few times on this fence where I've been with Ringo Rhino bull number 3, and he's walked straight into those cheetahs. So maybe he's going to assist our search. Or maybe he's just going to munch along, minding his own business. Probably the latter. If he does wander upon some cheetah, it'll be fluke. I can hear some oxpeckers above us. They sound like they're moving past. I thought maybe they were going to come and land on him, which would be typical. They've woken up, and now instead of catching a worm, they want to catch a ride on the food bus. Because the oxpeckers will land, and then they'll eat parasites that have wedged themselves into the tender places of this rhino. So good to see him. I should probably tell everybody. Oopsie. It is Madrid. Stations, there's a white rhino bull, the southern fence line of Blowbank, just to the east of Madrid Put. I thought he was going to give us a gap to get past him, but he's now moved too close to the road. I don't want to impact him. Maybe at our next gap. Not that we want to leave him. He's amazing. I love how quietly he moves through the thicket. The thing that you hear the most with a rhino is their breathing. Every now and then, after a few breaths, you hear but their pads on their feet are quiet, and the plucking of the grass is so delicate. The thing you hear the most is definitely the sigh of the rhino. Ringo always makes me giggle because his tail doesn't have nearly, there you go, stiffening his legs properly. That's how we expect you to, St. Mark, Ringo. He makes me giggle because he doesn't have much hair on the tip of his tail, unlike most rhinos. Alrighty. This is beautiful. You can actually see the mud that's caked on his back. I'll get a bit closer again. You can see how mud has been, oh, watch out, caked on his back from rolling around in the mud, which they do for a lot of different reasons, but it's so much fun to watch a rhino mud bathing. go. You can see all the crusting of the mud. Nice. And he'll do that for a number of reasons this time of the year. It's hot, and so mud bathing is just really fun to cool down. But really it serves a more practical purpose than just cooling down. It serves as, one, a protection layer, and two, an exfoliation. So by covering himself in mud and finding a nice rough surface like a tree or a stump or a rock, he can go cover himself in mud and then go and rub his body against something abrasive, and that will peel all the ticks and parasites off. So he'll really get a nice skin deep clean, which is exactly what you need when the oxpeckers have not got into all the tiny little spots. And you'll see them where they wallow, and then they find a fallen over tree, and they straddle it, and they rub back, and they rub forward, and they rub back, and they rub forward, and they try and get nice and low, and they it really is quite a spectacle. And he's carrying on. I might turn around and leave him, just because I don't want to push past him. You know, anywhere we go now, you look at how far he is from the verge of the road. Oh, now he's moved off. But still, you never want to put an animal under stress. Let's see if we can get past, but if he turns back onto the road, what I'll do is I'll just turn around. I'm not going to intrude on his comfort zone. He looks like he's trundling away. Goodbye, lovely to see you again. Oh, we love a good morning with Ringo. I forgot to have my coffee this morning, so that was a good way to wake me up, a good way to start the day. I might be going crazy, but I thought there could actually be something. No, it's not. On the ridge on the other side, I thought, oh, maybe the cheetah are here. There's been no cheetah tracks yet. So no major indication of them, I think. Maybe I'll go off the fence and investigate if they're a little further north than we are now. If not, that's okay. We can see what else we can find. I think my main interest in finding these cheetahs 2 drives in a row. What's that, a goshawk? But far here. There's something that's landed on the fence. Is it a kite? Andrew thinks it's a kite. I don't know. We'll have to see. It might be. It didn't sit for very long, and I don't really blame it. It's not a nice fence to sit on. Maybe a little bit too big to be a goshawk. The birds are performing here. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it is a goshawk. Damn it, Victoria, back yourself. Shows, hey, your brain does so many internal processes without you even realizing it. How beautiful is that? Making soft little calls. So this is a dark chanting goshawk. There's also a pale chanting goshawk, but it doesn't exist in this area. Basically occurs in all the areas where the dark chanting goshawk does not occur. Beautiful. The lighting is just so pretty on it. So sometimes you can find them in pairs. It's not uncommon that they'll be moving around in pairs, but this one looks like it's on its own. Exactly. Uh-oh. When he took off like that, he made me think he was going to go and attack some unsuspecting little bird. He is moving around here as though he wouldn't mind hunting, but I'm not sure we're going to get a better view than we've had. No. Okay. Well, that was nice. That was a nice little pop in from the dark chanting goshawk. You could hear the rattling testiculars performing about his performance or his presence in the area. And then they went quiet, almost like he got too close. When he's at a certain distance, we can call and have a tantrum and tell you to get out of here. But when you're danger and you're right in front of me, I'm gonna hide. Huge. Nice to see him. We do actually see them quite regularly on Rietspruit. We've just come off the fence line, peeled away from the fence, still on the search for the cheetah brothers. So we're going to continue. It's nice that there are no tracks of them on the fence. It means that, we can eliminate that from our search area this morning. Ah. I nearly drove right past these guys. Where do you want me? Two male giraffe having breakfast.
Good morning, all session. Lava Papa Longitude, and update, please.
Lovis, the only update is that there is a white rhino bull on the southern fence line of Blowbank around Madrid Putt.
Thank you, Sandy.
They're moving off in different directions. But they'll stay close together because, never mind, he's coming back. Giraffes are very social. They have quite a complex communication system. For a long time we thought that they were mute, but they're not mute. They're just communicating in frequencies that are inaudible to humans. Their social structure is actually far more similar to elephants than we imagined. These look like young males, though. They are young males. They're feeding, and that little interaction looked like it could be the beginning of a little bit of playful necking, which is how they learn to fight. But it didn't amount to anything. So, carrying on with their breakfast. Beautiful. They camouflage so well. All right, we're going to let them move off. They are moving off, and we're going to carry on.
Stand by. Yeah, morning, Governor. It's just come on to Ledwidge. I've got some sign of the male lines. I'm following up the area of what's there. Okay, copy that.
I wondered when we were stopped with the giraffe, in a very, very faint audio, it sounded like there actually could have been lions roaring. I don't know. It was so far away that it might not even have been on the Rietspruit. But the male lions have been hanging around, actually also in this area, so I mean, it's not impossible. It's very likely that they have traipsed all the way up to the northern parts of the property, and then they're calling from there, and I would, you know, that it would be very difficult to hear them here if that's what they had done. So I don't know. I don't know if I was hearing Rietspruit lions or other lions. I need to find, actually, when last, I know when last, but I haven't seen the lionesses in quite a while. I'd like to see them. And the wild dogs too, but the wild dogs have been cheeky. They have been cheeky. They are spending a lot of time on the one small portion of this reserve that we don't drive. And you know what? That's fine. That's where they're safe from. If that's where they feel they're safe from the lions, then they must spend their time there. They're going to do this thing where they move where the lions aren't. And the lions have been on Blowbank and Ledwood quite frequently. They have been on Kaya, the other third property, as well, but they are spending a little bit more time on the other two properties. And ironically, the property they're on now is the property where Notch, the male in the pack, was killed by lions, we assume. We strongly assume the lions were in that area, there were tracks of lions, and then that's the last time the wild dogs were seen, and then Gareth and I were sent on a mission to go and figure out why Notch's collar, because wild dog packs in the Greater Kruger, at least one individual should be collared. That's not the case for every pack, just because researchers haven't got to every single pack. But it's really important for the preservation of the species because they don't obey the order of stay within the fence. They break out of fences relatively frequently. So at least one member of the pack is collared, so an alert can be sent to the necessary organizations to retrieve wild dogs if they move into areas that are unsafe for them. Anyway, so Notch's collar pinged a few times, which is just, it gives a location update, and every time it gave a location update, it was... What is this? Oh, Vervet mic. It was in the same place, unfortunately. And very sad, but when we got there, there was just a skull. So something had eaten him as well, and the collar. But now there's just this tortoise quickly. I'm waiting. We have a tortoise crossing. A leopard tortoise, who we see frequently, distinguishable by the large skull. Listen to me, what the heck? The large shell with the yellow and the brown and the black. They're very beautiful. In Afrikaans, a tortoise is called a skilpad, which kind of comes from the Dutch name skilpad. spelled differently, it sounds very similar. I'm probably just not saying them correctly. But the skiel part means shield, and the pud part means toad, because they believe it looks like a toad that's put a shield on. So I think if you use your imagination, you can see that. Skill putt. We're going to let this little skill putt shield toad navigate all the obstacles that exist when you're only 2 inches, maybe 4 centimeters off the ground. You're going to carry on. Goodbye, little shielded toad. It's raining tortoises, which means it may rain, but we keep saying that. Vervet monkeys galore as well this morning. Supposed to be 39 degrees Fahrenheit here today. Not Fahrenheit, what am I saying? Celsius. Which is just under, bouncing around that 100-degree Fahrenheit mark, but 39 degrees Celsius is going to be a warm day. And I mean, what is the time now? It's 6 o'clock. And it's already nice and warm, so no doubt it's going to be very warm. Everybody, we're just going to quickly swing by our house. We need to grab some tech. We'll see you in a minute. We're back with you. Thanks for giving us a split second to fix that. We started a segment on our last drive, I think. Not our last one, but one of our recent drives, where we said we're going to have a mountain marvel minute every drive if we can, and the mountain is looking really beautiful, so we'll take 1 minute. That is a beautiful marble mountain minute. We see this mountain every day, and we love it so much that we're always putting it on camera, and then we talk rubbish about it. Not really, but it's actually you just need to look at it. You don't need to, you You don't need anything else. You just need to enjoy it. The sun has come up and it's real bright. Oh, we have some tricky little hidden creatures in there. Wildebeest. There you go. Beautiful. Excuse you, snorting at us. Now that's a wildebeest alarm call. This wildebeest is convinced that we are dangerous, but not that convinced, because it would have been a little bit more intent. This one on the left is now going as well. This is a small herd that we see in this area regularly. There are some impala with them too. This herd is only 4 individuals. A little while back, Gareth saw what he thought was afterbirth hanging out of one of the females, and she was acting as though she'd given birth, but unfortunately we haven't seen a calf. It's not to say she's not hiding one, but we haven't seen one. And you can see the impala moving in the background. Now, I know it's a tricky view, but if you're looking at the impala there, that size and that coloration is roughly what you'd be looking for in a baby wildebeest. Just more of a solid color, not a stripe like the impala has. And so spending time with the impalas, if they have got young, is actually very clever. Because it makes it look like there's safety in numbers for their young one. Okay, we can hardly see them, so let's carry on. Let us see what else we can find. The day has warmed up a lot, and so I'm thinking we can still keep an eye out and look for our our cheetah friends. But first light, when it's nice and cool, is when we would have been most lucky if they had made a kill. It's already starting to get warm. I mean, they could still hunt, but they're going to use that first light if they're really hungry, and they're going to make the most of it. Like I said, we can still head into that area. If they're not in the areas we've checked, then maybe they're around the Boskamp airstrip. There is a nice pan there. So we'll still head in the direction we were going. We have worked this corner really well, which is where I thought they would be, or could be. So now we'll try the area where I think they could be, second to where I thought they were originally.
I'm on that action concept and that pen.
I like this little road. It's a new one. It's been developed since we have arrived. So it wasn't here when we first learned the roads, and now it is. Here we've emerged at Mamba Dam. Looking to see if there's any activity here. There's always activity, but nothing major. In fact, not even our Egyptian geese, so nothing besides the dragonfly or two. Hold on, Andrew. Oh, there we go. Okay. Now I want to check around Snail Lane and then towards Boskamp and maybe even head towards Sekwe Dam, one of the big and beautiful dams on the reserve. Yeah, that would be nice. Oh, is this too far? Okay, we're going to stop right here because these vervet monkeys tend to skedaddle off when we get to. Look how big this troop is. We've seen them about 4 times this morning and haven't been able to get them on camera because they've just vanished from us. Look at him, back legs looking at us, looking around. They must have roosted in the area last night and then woken up and groomed one another in a very, it's like a morning ritual. Wake up, groom. Did you survive the night? How did you sleep? A little catch up with your family members. But now they're ready to start foraging. Mainly what they're going to eat is forage, so berries, seeds, some insects they'll definitely eat. But the rule of thumb is that if you are stuck in a wilderness area and you find a troop of vervet monkeys, these are vervet monkeys, then you can generally eat what they eat without being too concerned. I would first test it by rubbing it on the sensitive parts of your skin, so on the inside of your wrist. That would be a good place to rub a food that you're unfamiliar with, like a berry. And if your skin reacts to that, then don't eat it. And then if your skin doesn't react to it after a couple of minutes on your wrist, you could put a tiny bit on your lips, not in your mouth, on your lips, because your lips are even more sensitive. And if your lips don't react, it's pretty safe to eat. Now the same cannot and must not be said for baboons. Baboons can eat way more than we can eat. They can tolerate more poisons. They can eat decaying meat. They definitely are not a species that we want to look to for our feeding preferences should we be stranded. And these vervet monkeys look to our feeding preferences as well because they are often in our kitchen. Probably this troop as well. They do tend to have quite a large home range. And we're not that close to where we live, but I think we're close enough that this is the troop that are happy to steal a banana every other day. A banana, a loaf of bread, a Chemex coffee maker. Little terrors. No, but they're beautiful, and seeing them in the wild is lovely. When they're doing what wild monkeys should do, then they make me very happy. When they're in my kitchen, they make me less happy. It's actually not, they're not even confined to wild areas where they interact with humans. We were recently, about a month ago now, in KZN, KwaZulu-Natal, on the coast, and there was a rambunctious troop in that little coastal town who also broke into houses. We had one in our house on 2 occasions when we were there for 10 days. So, and then when I was growing up, we had vervet monkeys also in a like suburban part of a town called East London. And the monkeys would break into our houses regularly there too. My brother watched a monkey. My mom, he was young, he was about a little under 2, around 2. My brother watched a monkey steal a bottle my mom had made him to put him to sleep, or maybe he was younger. I don't know. What age do you wean children? He was the perfect age to be weaned. You could tell I'm not a mum yet. And the monkey stole the bottle off the countertop. And my brother watched this, and my mom said, "Oh no, the monkeys have stolen your bottle." And she never gave him another bottle, and he never asked for another bottle. Even though she had like 6 stashed away. She was like, that's it. That's what I'm doing. I'm using this as my out. He's weaned. And he was, so it wasn't a problem. But she said it was so amazing because he knew the monkeys had stolen his bottle because he watched them steal his bottle. So he never asked for another one. He never cried about it. He was obviously ready. But it's yeah, probably the only time that a monkey stealing things in your house has turned out for the good. Otherwise, it's just annoying. Of course, a vervet monkey is nothing like a baboon. When a baboon's in your home, that's far more daunting. Because they're big and they're threatening. And when they feel threatened, they're even more threatening. I had one steal a blanket off my bed while I was in the bed. Which is crazy. But it sounds more dramatic than it was, but also it was as dramatic as it sounds. The baboon opened my door because they know how to open your doors. When I was still working at Mala Mala, and I didn't respond. I thought it was, at the time, just my boyfriend, but now my husband. I thought he was just coming in, finished game drive, coming in to say hi. Because anybody else would knock, so actually Gareth would usually knock too. But the baboon came in, and then it realized I was there, and it was quite a small room, and it wanted to intimidate me, and so it grabbed the blanket at the base of the bed, and then I screamed because I didn't know what else to do. I was in a small confined space with a baboon, and it ran away, and my neighbors came out, and they came and they were like, "What is going on?" And I was like, "I'm so sorry, but there was a baboon in my room trying to take my blanket." I think it was a terrible blood-curdling scream because I was told I was never allowed to react like that again. But it just happened. I didn't plan it. Barn swallow. Okay. We're not quite where the cheetahs were the last time they were seen, but I really don't anticipate them being where they were last seen. Oh, we have a roadblock. Looks like we have some giraffes that are on the road. See some swishing tails. They're right up against the road. Oh my goodness, they're everywhere. So focused on the two in front of me that I didn't see the ones beside me. There's a giraffe over here, everybody. Look, we have two males on my right, and in front of us there's two females. There might actually be more, but I'm only seeing the four of them. So graceful. They eat pretty much throughout the day, so they can feed for long periods of time. But they have to keep moving while they're feeding. So they'll feed for a few minutes on one bush, and then they will move to the next tree and the next one and the next one. There are some zebra just behind a termite mound there as well. You can kind of just see its head. Yeah, two heads. There it is. Beautiful. Hi, thanks for posing. There's some more zebra coming up on the right. The relatively large herd. Oh, well, that's at least 4 zebra. Perhaps there's more. You're watching us. We're watching you too. This one's got particularly dark shadow stripes. I'm looking at the stripe that is between the white stripes. It's called a shadow stripe. Because each zebra's... Oh, they found them. Very far away. Male lines very, very far away. But because the zebra's stripe pattern is the same as our fingerprint, it's all very different. Each one is unique. It's always interesting to look at the nuances of their coats, where one will have a really, really big shadow stripe that's quite dark, almost looks like another stripe, another black stripe. And then there's other zebras that'll have a really pale one, and it's like, oh, where is it? But it'll be there. Usually in this subspecies of zebra, you'll see it. So we're looking at this male giraffe. I was saying that they'll feed on a bush for a little while, and then they'll move on to the next one, and that's because there's actually quite a complex communication system between trees. Trees can speak to each other, and not in a weird airy-fairy way, in a very scientific way. They use a fungal network that is in the soil known as the mycorrhizal network. It's a complex and very dense network that sends that sends messages, chemical signals from one tree to another tree. Oh, there's another one behind us. And so when a giraffe is predating upon a tree, the tree will release a tannin content, which will make it taste bad to the giraffe, but it will also release a signal into the mycorrhizal network that will tell all the other trees in the area to start producing a higher tannin content. And then eventually the giraffe will have to move on as they feed. Like they're doing now. Nope, this one's still feeding here. This mycorrhizal network is such a complex thing, but it's also such an incredible thing. It's trees in forests have been studied quite extensively, and there's communication with your kin. So a tree has offspring. They can communicate with their offspring. Then there's communication with their species. They can communicate with their entire species. And then there's communication with trees that they live in compatibility with, other species. And then there's even tree species that they don't, like certain tree species disagree with one another, and they will be able to communicate with those tree species too, but that's not nice communication. It's hostile, chemically hostile. He's camera shy. He's literally hiding behind the tiniest branch ever. And the zebra's cute. But what's probably my favorite thing about the mycorrhizal network is that if a tree is lacking and it's dying, for instance, it's got a parasite or it's been injured or there's something going on, other trees can choose to redirect their excess nutrients, their excess resources to a specific tree. So they can act, it sounds like sci-fi, but it's legit. They can dump nutrients into the mycorrhizal network and direct it to a specific individual of their species or of their kin that will then take up that nutrients and grow strong and recover from whatever the ailment is. That is mind-blowing. There's so much more to nature that we just have not yet understood. That's relatively recent. And off they go. This is so lovely, giraffe and zebra and a whole bunch of tree signs. We've lost all of our subjects. All of our beautiful animals have moved off. They did give us a nice show though. That was beautiful. Beautiful. And they're all here. Well, I think it's safe to say if we have this many relaxed giraffe and zebra, we don't have cheetah right now in this area. Cheetah are not really going to hunt giraffe or zebra. That's not their target species. But the giraffe and zebra would be a little bit more cautious, a little bit more wary, of the are there. And just got cheetah tracks going in the opposite direction. I wonder if we should just hop onto the fence again. Yeah, that's what I think. You know, when we went past that road that went to the right, I thought, maybe we should just go have a look down here. Let me turn around. I can investigate. It's a lion track as well, but I think it's older. Oh. Okay. Let's get onto the fence. Our cheetah brothers are called fence and line for a reason. Maybe we'll see them. How beautiful. We're just in amongst all those giraffes. There were more than 4. Yep. Trucks are heading this way. Maybe they did eventually bump into Ringo. Ringo the Rhino, who we found at the beginning of Game Drive. Okay, are they on the left there, Andrew? I just want to make sure we go the right way. They've gone this way. We're gonna find them! Jokes, I have no idea. Okay. Yeah, oh, they're good tracks actually. Pretty nice cheetah tracks. Part of why they love the fence is that they've learned how to use the fence to their advantage in the hunting process, which is the way it is. Obviously, they wouldn't have that in a large open system, but they would develop different tactics. They're not stupid. Are there trucks on the left as well? Because there's quite a... Okay. No problem. I just wanted to try and show everybody. There's a lot. They both walked on the right. Yep, they've carried on. It's good to see their tracks. Squirrel making noises. When you want to see something, you see it everywhere. Fake versions. Or versions that do not exist. Looks like their tracks have actually continued through. So they've carried on the fence. I mean, we did track them for... Both of them look like they've walked on this side. So. Tracks are still continuing, so this is looking good. Oh, there's some on the left now. Okay, finally. I'll hop out. So we've had a look at lion tracks. I know we've done that recently, and maybe even leopard tracks. Which one are you on? Let's choose this one here. Actually, sorry, this one here. Okay, we're good. All right, so we've spoken about cats versus other animals, and we're looking at those 3 lobes there. But what's really distinctive about this part of the cheetah paw is it's actually relatively small, and the ridges are very well defined. I don't know if you can see the depression and then the ridge between each part of the pad. And then this is in sand. It's quite tricky. Some of the others actually show it better, but there's quite a deep M here in the track. So the small pad with the very undulating ridges are for traction, but it also helps us identify when we're tracking. It helps us identify that it's a cheetah. And then if you look here, you'll see that there's a mark in the sand there and a mark there. Those are claws, even here. And that's because the cheetah's claws are not completely retracted like the other cats. So these are the features we look for. Also, look at how long the track is. The toes just seem to take up so much space. So we're on the right track. Haha. We're going to continue. They're walking in this direction because these are the toes. And we're going to see this hyena tracks that go in the opposite direction. But let's see. They look relatively fresh, these tracks. Oh, shame. There's a tortoise that was probably has succumbed to the fence. Maybe not the fence, but it could have been. Or terrapin, sorry. It's decomposing. Poor thing.
At Rietspruit Drive, junction, crossing, very clear.
Come on, cheetah. Look at these. I'm just quickly going to show you, but we're going to stay on these tracks. But look at this community spider over here. That's pretty gnarly. So the nest is in the center. And then this one's actually not in good nick. Perhaps it's abandoned. And then the web that they use to catch their food is out to the sides. But this, there will have been very many spiders who've lived in this nest. It's pretty large. Amazing. Yeah, definitely a dilapidated one. It's got a Halloween-y vibe. Wrong time of the year. Okay. Carry on. I really want to see if we can catch up with these cheetah, especially because we have nice cheetah tracks. So we're just going to keep powering on. Maybe we'll find them. The tracks are still on the road, so it's all good signs. All good signs. What I just hope is that we find them and they've got a kill, because they need one. Watching a kill it's thrilling, but it's still hard, you know, it's still you realize that there is an exchange, life for life there. So we don't want to over glorify watching cheetahs make a kill, but it is a special thing to be able to witness. I mean, it takes place. It has to take place. And it shows they are built perfectly to be able to find food. And so watching them do that is always, it's like an art form, but it is also hard to watch. They look really fresh. I wonder, we must have been just behind them. Checking the corner might have been when they were walking here earlier this morning when we first started drive. Actually, it's a very pleasant morning. Granted, it's only around 6:30, but it's not hot yet, which is promising for now. A lot can change in an hour or two, though, and it could become cooking. The thing about the cool temperatures is that these cheetahs are going to keep moving. They're not necessarily going to lie down and rest and take it easy. Come on, this is good zone, good territory for them. Of course, it's great habitat. Their tracks are here. And then we see them here quite regularly. We still do have one set of tracks, not two. Sorry, Andrew. As I swerved to check a track, it was a dead, looked like a raisin bush or something, small and dead. Luckily, it wasn't that one. Yep, both of them here again. Oh, come, boys. Gosh, it's like deja vu. It's as if we've done this recently. Track these cheetahs for very far. We did a much bigger, more extensive track on them last drive, didn't we? Oh, we don't know how long and extensive this track could be either. I get excited every time we summit a little ridge and then look down, and then I get disappointed because I can't see them. Okay. You can tell by their tracks how long they've actually spent on the fence line this morning. Luckily, their tracks are still on the road, but if you look into, I mean, some of this area is quite thick. Not all of it, because we have put a fire through here. This is much nicer now. But they would blend pretty well if they were 100 or 200 meters deeper. really moved quite a bit. I mean, we're not that far. We are far, but we're starting to move into the area of Dam. So we're not too close to the dam just yet, but just to give you an idea, for those of you who know the reserve, how far they've traveled based on their tracks. There's something in the road far ahead. I'll use my binos. And literally very far ahead. And from the other ridge, it's moving. Maybe an impala. 2 impalas. 3 impalas. Ja. Ja, nee. It's far though. Hold on, it's rocky here. What do you think, Andrew? Left or right? Oh wait, this is just a little loop. This is just a little loop at Peaks. I was getting confused. Okay, hold tight. So with these impala here, we know our cheetahs are not right here. Mr. Hyena in this area as well. These are not their tracks. They're tracks of a hyena moving in the opposite direction. I wonder if we should try and get up to Dam. Stick on the fence. What do you think? Yeah, I also think so. It is an interesting road, these roads. They're a bit more bouncy than some of the others. I nearly singed my whole leg here. When we burnt this area. The flames were massive. I'll never drive this road without remembering that feeling. It looked like I got a really bad sunburn. So I was too close to the flame and it just came up while I was driving the road. So my leg was a little worse for wear. Luckily we had some burn shield and other things. wouldn't surprise me if we got to the dam and they were there. I must say there's a small part of me that's a little bit disappointed that they've decided to come east and not west from where they were left. Because if they'd come west, they would have enjoyed camp. And they like that. We've had them there before, and that's always fun for us. But they've decided, as they're allowed to do as wild animals, that they are heading east. The cicadas are so loud at the moment. So that 38, 39 degrees Celsius is looking very likely. If it's 6:45, 55, wow. We have so much. Nope. Do we have a branch?
Yeah.
Not a flat tire.
Yeah.
You good? We got it? Is it a big one?
Yeah, it's tiny.
I hate those tiny ones. You think it's going to be dramatic, and it turns out to just be a tiny little branch. This is a tiny little car, so the little branches do not fare, or little cars don't fare well against branches. That said, the off-roading you can do on this is pretty amazing. These lawns are really beautiful now after the fire. I'm not going to get over it because it's just transformed this area entirely. Little weaver in the road. Sequoia Dam is where Gareth and Andrew had that male leopard, a blowbunk male. Yeah, there are lion tracks here. Perhaps we're going to find a different catch at blowbunk at the dam. I actually doubt it. I think these tracks might be a little bit older. Maybe not. This is not a very frequently driven road, so it's tricky to age the tracks, but there are some nocturnal bugs or bugs that have walked over the track, so they're not super fresh. It's not to say the lions aren't in this area. They very well could be. So you never know what we could find. Yep, still good lion track. Maybe our focus species is changing, Andrew. maybe we've morphed. Maybe the cheetahs have just led us to the lions. No. When you've got a plan, things change. Quoting myself from a few days ago. But it's true. I mean, we might not see either of these, but it's really cool to have fresh signs of both of them. Look at those trucks are good. Imagine. There's one impala far in the distance and not looking very stressed. So whatever's moved through here, there's more than one, has done it a little while ago, because the impala would still be exhibiting signs of anxiety. If there were lions or cheetahs who've just passed by. This dam seems to be attracting all of the attention. Of all of the big cats, I think there was a cheetah kill here at the beginning of December. Andrew and Gareth watched that. These two boys killed a something. There's jury's out on whether it was a nyala or a kudu, because there was no mother that was seen for very long, and it was a young individual and it was in the thicket, and so jury's out on whether they killed a nyala, like a sub-adult nyala, or a kudu calf. From where I was watching, behind the tech in the office, I thought it was a nyala, but then Andrew thought he saw a kudu in the area, which would mean that it would be a kudu's baby. So I don't know, we should not have confused it, but the visual was not great, and so we'll never know unless we keep scrutinizing our footage whether it was a nyala or a kudu. And then maybe we'll have to send it to a nyala and a kudu expert. Kidding. There's no such thing that I'm aware of. But also, if there were such a thing, it would be us, because this is what we do all the time. Naturalists in the wild. Yeah, so that was one of the sightings that Sekwe Dam produced. And then a little later on this, in December, there was the blowbunk male who was seen, a leopard, which I was a little jealous of. I actually wasn't, I was just celebrating with them. Any leopard sighting is a win for the team. And then what else? That's all for now. From this dam. For this month at least.
Yeah.
Hmm? Yes, that was November. That was cool too. I'm just keeping an eye out for anything. There's a deer cuckoo calling. In the distance. What else can I hear? Everything's mostly drowned out by the sound of the cicadas. Very peaceful, but our lions are not here. That we can see. We're only on one part of the dam. Maybe if we do a loop around and circle it, we'll be able to see into different nooks and crannies of the dam. It's a really big dam. A rhino has been here because there's rhino marking evidence. I would have been happy to be an animal at this dam. It's very scenic. Okay, I'm going to carry on a bit. We might have to have another mountain marvel minute. Because now we have a dam, everyone. We have a scene and a half. Oh, this is probably one of my favorite views on this entire reserve. Look at that. Isn't that spectacular? Really gorgeous. Like a postcard. That's beautiful. Thank you, Andrew. I really think this is one of my favorite spots. It's like you never want to leave. Oh, okay. I just got kissed by a cicada. They really like me. It whispered something in my ear. Too bad I don't speak cicada. pretty drainage line. The sounds are just amazing. It's a strange smell. Can you smell that?
Yeah.
No. It's like more... It's more like mechanical. I don't know how you know. There's an odd smell. Anyway, it must be one of these trees. Oh, we're not that far from Boskamp, so I wonder if maybe they're using a chemical. Unlikely. Oh, the lion tracks go in the opposite direction, but that's towards the fence. Birdlife. I think one male came this way because I know one male's been found on Leadwood in the north. What I want to do is actually check the Boskamp airstrip. Just check to see, you know, our cheetah tracks cut back into the block. If they've done a big loop, which is very possible, they could have ended up back at this pan of water. Also, the lions did cut in too, except for that male track that goes in the opposite direction. But let's have a look quickly. Oh, the heat has picked up, Andrew. We spoke too soon about it being pleasant. But it was pleasant. It is still pleasant. Whoa. There's something there. I wonder if we'll see it. Do you think? Unlikely. Very unlikely with this bush. Is alive. Do you want to go scrounge around? You can. I'll watch you. I'm kidding.
Ah, yeah.
I don't want to scrounge around in a bush that Andrew thinks there's a snake in. I know Andrew would. Andrew really likes reptiles. I like them too, but not enough to go diving into a bush after one that I don't know which one it is. There's a big rustle when we drove past here. A big one. Whatever it is has gone very quiet. If I were a snake, this would be the time of day I'd be getting up to lie in a place like the road to absorb as much heat as I possibly can from my solar panels. Chick-grill, chick-grill, chick-grill. Blackback, puffback calling. We're definitely still hearing birds. There's still lots of birds calling. But it's actually amazing how the heat's come up and the amount of bird activity has just dropped. They're just saying, nope, not extending too much energy now, exerting myself. or overexerting myself. Every road we've driven today, I've thought the cheetah are going to be over the next rise, the cheetah are going to be over the next rise. To be fair, yesterday they were over the next rise. Eventually. Was it yesterday, our last drive? Something like that. The last couple of days. Also keeping an eye out for Lula and Kalula, the two Rhino cows in this area. They love this area, and I would too. The grass is beautiful. One impala lamb, one is lonesome. Not lamb, ram. Okay, I'm gonna pop this way and see if we can have a little look. Towards Boskamp. Doesn't look like it. This is the area where the wild dogs, when there were 3 of them, chased the 2 male cheetahs right up a tree. Poor male cheetahs. But they did well. They did well to survive. I'm gonna go through this way. It was crazy. It was a crazy video and crazy footage of the 3 wild dogs just chasing a cheetah, one cheetah up a tree, and then another cheetah, and then one came down, and as it came down, it looked like the wild dogs actually did nip it, and then it ran into the people's house. Well, not house, but into their camp, which is actually fenced off. But it just decided, no, I need to get away from these wild dogs, and quite frankly, I like people more than I like wild dogs. Charged into Boskamp. And then as quickly as the ordeal started, it was over. Stressful for the cheetah, but they came out unscathed, and they still have both of them. The wild dogs took chances and unfortunately lost one of their members. We did chat about that earlier on drive. Andrew, I think we're following the shade. Woohoo! Actually, that reminds me, woo is our keyword this festive season. So if you're one of our pack members and you have not yet emailed us to get your hands on this image of an owl, a spotted eagle owl, you need to do that because you're running out of time. Soon we'll be on to new keywords. So do that. We should get it to you in the first week of Jan. So if you email info@painteddog.tv and you email us the word woo or woo, more like it because it's an owl, not a celebration. It could be a celebration given the time of the year. It's very celebratory. Kudu. Then you will be sent an image. We can't get, well, we could. I thought it was going to dash off, but there's actually 2 kudu here. Tell me when. Here. Alrighty. There, you've got it on the left a little. To the left. What big ears you have, young boy. It's a very, not very young, but it's a young male.
Crossing over into Lowveld.
Quite a lot of horn growth that still needs to happen on him. They'll turn 3.5 times, and this hasn't even turned once, so he's quite big. He's not tiny, but he's got some growing to do. It's actually the same as another male in there that's very similar age and size. There's 3 kudu here. I thought there were only 2. That's how you know they're the ghost of the bush. They're very difficult. When they stand still in a thicket, they can vanish like that. Oh, me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We'll carry on. Oh, another one. More than 4. Just they're hiding really well, so we're struggling to show you them. Ambling on. Got about 5 minutes, no, 7 minutes left. 7 minutes is enough time to find a cheetah. Or a lion. It's also enough time to not find a cheetah or a lion. We're gonna have to try hard. Ooh! There's a rock monitor. I have no idea why it gave me such a fright, but I did get a fright by this rock monitor. We've had rock monitors galore. Actually, we've had rock monitors and water monitors and all sorts of reptiles poised beautifully looking at us. Also just catching sun, like I said, the snake should be, but he's got a very similar functioning to a snake, so I don't blame him. He needs to catch those rays. You can see on his face, his ear is quite different to what we would expect from a human ear. So it's that little hole at the back, back from his eye. There's a little hole there. That's his ear. And it's it's an internal ear structure, but it doesn't have an external structure like us or most other mammals. But that hole is very vibrationally sensitive. In fact, the whole animal is quite vibrationally sensitive. So they'll even detect and sense vibrations through their entire body and skull. It's a small one. Doesn't look like he's in any rush to move. Maybe we could get a little closer. What do you think? Hope he doesn't skip. He's not going to hang around for it. It's a very little rock monitor, all things considered. Not the smallest I've ever seen. I've seen tiny ones. When they're tiny, they're feisty if you try and move them. I had one in a friend's house at Malawala as well. And in his shoe. I have to try and get it out, but it was very cute. Cute, but feisty. They can draw blood. Look at that tongue. Flicking, detecting. Maybe there's something there. Pretty. Ooh, are you going to dig for us? Every now and then he flicks his tongue out. They use their tongue to detect chemical cues, which helps them with foraging and figuring out. So if he's flicking his tongue, I say he, I have no idea. Maybe there's something in there that's chemically tasty or has chemical potential. It's all based on chemicals. Oh, goodbye. I didn't realize that there was a hole there. I thought it was just a depression. Okay, little one. Well, we'll make sure we don't drive over your hole, but we will go around it. That's quite funny. Adios, amigo. Let me know if there's anything worth looking at down there, Andrew. There. Dark hole in the ground. Maybe it's his hole and he was figuring out if there was anything who had inhabited his hole that he didn't want to be inhabiting his hole. That's fun. It was a nice little surprise. This way, right? Okay. Still have a tiny bit of time after our beautiful rock monitor. Maybe we'll get lucky. Let me get back onto Boskamperwaypad this. A long Afrikaans name for some of these roads. You definitely become a better Afrikaans speaker when you move to Rietspruit because you have to. You have to be able to say the names of the roads and the dams and the features, which are all named in Afrikaans. So if you're not much of an Afrikaans person, you'll definitely pick it up. You have to pick it up. Andrew, I think our lion cheetah odds are dwindling. I think they are. I think they have escaped us for this morning, but we've always can try again. Try again another time. All right, everybody. That brings us to the end of our time together. From us at Painteddog TV, it's been fun to have you with us, and we hope we see you soon. Bye.